All right, good morning, everybody. It is August 22nd. We are still here in Miami at the NAMED annual meeting. It's been a wild ride. Today, we're talking about Ford tweaking EVs, EV sales doing well besides that, and Chick-fil-A is now a streaming service.
Yeah, I think what that just told me is we're on day 3/4 of a long trip.
No doubt.
But
we're here and we're up and we're ready to go.
Great.
See, I want to comment on the third story.
I know. We'll get to the third
There
story,
is a Chick-fil-A streaming service. Never, I'm going to save that one for the end. But we've been having an amazing time again with the NAMED annual meeting has really taken off in the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
And the inflection point has been hit. And we're starting to see so many familiar faces that haven't been here before.
Yeah.
Like last night, we're hanging out with Brian Benstock.
Talked to so many people
never
been here. Maybe didn't even know that it existed. You know, this is actually I found out it's 44th year of this conference. So it's nothing new.
Decades.
It's just getting the ramp. There was a lot of focus on diversity from the manufacturers over the last 6 years. And then you start to see more media outlets like ourselves kind of talk about what's going on at this event. I would just say, hey, if you haven't looked at the event, if you haven't looked at NAMED membership, and if you are, in a minority, you should look at the membership, but also whether you're a minority or not, it's an incredible conference, great community, and a place where really the community is the main calling card.
That is,
right?
The community is the main event.
Yep.
Sounds familiar.
Hey,
I know there's a lot that feels so familiar between like a SoduCon and this meeting, just because when people walk in, they're ready to talk. They're ready to meet new people. They're ready to listen. They're ready to grow. We want to thank our friends at TrueCar Plus for being the sponsor of all of our NAMED content. We had such a great time hanging out with Matt Jones yesterday. We're going to have him a little bit later to talk about some of the things he's been seeing and learning. But TrueCar Plus has been such a great partner, not only to the NAMED community, but to us as a SODU, helping us bring the content to you every day from this show. And we're leaving it all in the field.
We're putting it all out there. It's all done. So let's head to it.
All right. So Ford is adjusting its EV plans again, canceling the long planned 3-row electric crossovers and delaying the next generation full-size electric pickup by 18 months.
Wow.
As of right now, the automaker says they're going to be focusing on a family of 3-row hybrid crossovers. The changes could result in $1.9 billion in cost cutting, including a $400 million non-cash charge related to the cancellation of the crossover.
Wow, just for canceling it's costing.
Yeah,
that's wild.
And so CFO John Lawler says, quote, "We looked where the segment was evolving, the amount of competition, the customer needs, and then the size of the battery that needs to go in a pure EV, the cost structure, the pricing, all that. We could not put together a vehicle that met our requirements to be profitable in the first 12 months of launch." How about that? Profit is now a primary consideration.
It is a primary consideration. Their full electric pickups have been pushed to late 2027 on their next gen from the original F-150 Lightning. And they've said that EVs would represent roughly 30% of Ford's capital expenditure, down from a planned 40%. So definitely a restructuring of the entire org, looking at what's the consumer demand, what's the opportunity for profitability. This is a move that we've been talking about for a while. It's a more measured approach. They're introducing more hybrids. I was talking to a couple dealers earlier this said, hey, look, they were Toyota dealers, but they also have Ford stores. And they just said, hey, look, when we look over at Toyota, we've seen the way like a lot of other manufacturers are heading back in that direction. So you see Ford doing that with their hybrids. I think it's going to pay dividends.
I was looking forward to the 3-row EV because I have a big family. And as I'm in consideration right now, the EV9 is really the only one that's even in. So I was looking forward to the Explorer 3-row and let's see what they come up with. However, the concept of an Expedition or a Navigator that might have a really great hybrid powertrain is pretty attractive as well. I think just broader trend, right? Now we're looking at profitability as a driver. We're no longer getting the pass to say, well, it's an EV, so let us do what we want. Let us lose as much as we want. We're just, we're entering a rational EV era.
Exactly. And another conversation I was having with dealers back at the Reynolds conference earlier this week is that they are now in a position where they are turning down EVs every single month on allocation intentionally because there are certain model lines that they just can't sell. So, Yeah, I think it's different for every dealer, different for every sector of the U.S., right? Depending on where you're at, but definitely a change in approach.
Well, in an apparent, seemingly contradictory story, despite talks of the EV slowdown, U.S. market saw record-breaking EV sales in Q2 of 2024, with 18 electric models surpassing 5,000 units sold. Tesla, Ford, and Hyundai are in the lead, but newcomers are also gaining ground. Basically, we hit a record 320,000 plus units in Q2, up 11% from last year and 23% from Q1.
Wow.
The Mustang Mach-E, F-150 Lightning, 2 Ford vehicles, Hyundai Ioniq 5, the BZ4X from Toyota, Rivian R1S, Cadillac Lyriq, BMW i4, Kia, EV6, EV9, Niro, Chevy Blazer EV, Volkswagen ID4, Mercedes EQE, and the Nissan Ariya. We have a lot of options.
All
Holy
those
crap.
sold more than 5,000 units. So that's strong.
That's really strong. A lot of representation in there. As we previously reported, Tesla's market share dipped below 50% for the first time last quarter. And basically, I'm missing a thing now. And Hyundai, including Kia and Genesis together, took 10% of the total market, outperforming Ford. So there's a lot of shifting. Stephanie Valdez-Streety, Cox Automotive Industry Insights Director, said automakers that deliver the right product at the right price and offer excellent customer experience will lead in the way of EV adoption. That sounds like,
yes,
it sounds like car wisdom.
That's correct. We had some conversations yesterday at the Wilcon event and heard some people talking about, the necessity for continued education, kind of broad scale, right? That it's not a one size fits all education, that it is on a very individual level. The consumers are coming in wondering what exactly the EV is. So needing the education. And, recognizing that there's a different customer experience demand on an EV buyer right now, right? From a delivery perspective, looking into all the technology of that vehicle. But kudos to these brands for leaning in. We were actually
sticking with it.
We were actually in a Polestar last night. It was our head of production's first ride in an EV. And man, this guy, you know what was interesting to me, and when you look at like the current EV market, he knew just about as much about EVs, about their future production, about like Samsung's battery development. So people that are interested in these are interested in knowing not just about the brand that they're buying, but about the future development and what they could buy 2-3 years from now as they get used to their EV purchase patterns. So just a thing to be thinking about.
Also, I think it's really interesting that this Uber driver rents his EV by the week through an Uber program with Hertz.
Yep.
And so he was renting this Polestar 2 for $400 a week, including insurance. The requirement was he has to do at least 30 rides. And now, because he does that, because they have that program, somebody had their first EV experience. That's just how it's going. It's how it's going. Speaking of smart.
Oh, yes.
And delicious.
And
smart and delicious.
Arena, with plans to launch its own streaming service focused on family-friendly content. The fast food giant is partnering with top production companies to create some original shows, moving into the media landscape for the first time. They are going to be developing original content. The focus is going to be mainly on unscripted shows.
Hey,
I like that. We know something about that. Collaborations include production companies behind popular series like NBC's The Wall and Netflix's 13 Reasons Why. So, a couple different types of unscripted stuff like games and things like that. A 10-episode family-friendly game show has already been greenlit. And they're saying that their projects they're not massive budget, but about $400,000 per half hour is their project.
I mean, that's a healthy budget. I think if anyone can pull this off, Chick-fil-A can pull it off.
Yep.
They're building something that's very well received, which is streaming television with a massive brand. They're understanding the family-friendly is one of their hotspots, and they're going to develop content for that. They have a massive distribution network, not only through their stores, but through their email list, through their app. They've experimented. They made like
these mini-series
like these little animated content. So I think it's going to be great. We happen to think this would be a great home for the More Than Cars series. It's like a really good fit, especially when you think of the people the recruiting pool that we need from this industry of people coming in entry level or mid level into the industry. I think we'd hire my pleasures.
I think we'd hire a couple of those.
I think we probably already have. So I'm excited to see what comes of this. Actually, if you know anyone in the Chick-fil-A organization that you can connect us with, I think this is a great opportunity for the auto industry to kind of make some inroads into a massive brand loyal, customer first thinking market.
That's right. I mean, how many training videos and training events have you been where auto has been likened to Chick-fil-A? Just a couple few. I'm telling you what, it's like every other training encouragement series that I've ever seen.
Oh, so man, that's it. Well, this is our last live show from the NAMAD annual meeting. We're going to bring you some more interviews and coverage from it throughout the next few days to make sure that you get everything that's going on. In the meantime, keep talking about people. We will see you tomorrow morning.